he's got a bank full of money.
Nope.
I mean, they've been together through thick and thin, man.
But it's his attitude all along from day one. He was a winner. It just took him a while to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, and props to her, man. You talk about a ride or die chick. Man, props to that chick. She's been through that with that guy through thin times all the way up to now where they're enjoying life. So, man, there's something to be said for a chick that's a ride or die.
True. I mean, we're not on here to just talk to each other and let everybody else listen to us. We can do that on a telephone every day.
Right?
We actually kind of want to become somebody. It would be awesome to have a morning radio show or an evening radio show or a little bit of an XM comedy show.
Well, I think anytime in life you have dreams, you got to find successful people to emulate.
Sure.
And Danny Dixon is definitely somebody that if you want to be successful in business endeavors, much less your personal ones, you need to emulate what that man does because Danny Dixon has got it all figured out.
You want to talk about successful?
Okay.
Oklahoma University this year, other than their first time they played Texas, extremely successful.
Redemption, son. Redemption.
More than
OU
redemption.
versus Texas was a beautiful football game to watch.
It was, and it really was not a nail-biter. I thought it was going to be a nail-biter.
Well, you thought the score was going to be a lot higher. We talked before the game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You had astronomical numbers.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, the over and under, if you picked under, you won some money. But if you look at OU's last 3 or 4 games...
Well, wasn't the over and under like crazy?
Oh, yeah, it was way up there. It's like the highest over-under I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And they were well under it.
Well, I mean, but man, I'll tell you what, if you live in Oklahoma, this last Saturday was a great day to be in Oklahoma.
Well, and their quarterback, Kyler Murray, he just got voted AP Player of the Year.
Kyler Murray is a phenomenon. And we talked a little bit ago. Did you tell me it's the best ever single season in history?
Single greatest single season college player in history
Ever. That's huge, man.
All his tangibles, all his numbers, nothing can add up for a single season. This guy he's never played before, so you never had a quarterback who just spent one season with a team.
And he's not coming back next year, right?
No, he signed a $4.6 million deal with the Oakland A's. He was, I think, 9th overall in the baseball.
So this kid came to college football for one season, set records.
No, he's been on the team.
Right, but he hadn't played.
No.
Yeah, he played one season, set all the records, and he's going to bounce out.
Why not? I mean, if you done broke the record, he arguably, because there's some people, the old school people are going to argue, but arguably he's probably the best player OU has ever.
He's and leaving when he's leaving, that's very Barry Sanders.
But and a hell of a high note, You play one season, and he's the favorite to most to win the Heisman. It's going to be a close race, but
he's a humble kid too. When you see him in press conferences, he's a very humble.
He's
kid.
He's not Baker Mayfield. He's not plant the flag on the 50-yard line. Baker Mayfield, complete opposite. Very reserved, very quiet. Reads the field like a general, and it sucks that he is only 5'9".
Yeah, well, that's probably being 5'9". That's probably a good move. If you're going to go to the
if he was 6'2" and had the same numbers,
the NFL
football,
would be having wet dreams
down.
over it.
Yeah, but I think baseball's probably the right move because he could have a nice 20-year career in baseball and retire, the $150 million in his pocket.
So kind of like me and you.
Or he could go to Or he could go to 180 million in a dream, right?
Yeah, right.
Or he could go to the NFL and maybe make maybe half that.
Yeah.
If I were a team, I would want him so bad, but I would also know that I can't take him because he's too small. He's 185 pounds, 190 pounds. And 5'9". He needs to be about 30, 40 pounds heavier. He needs to be about 6 or taller.
Well, yeah, you get up to the NFL, you can't even see over the line.
Right.
They snap the ball, you can't see anything over the lineman. So
the guy that he beat for single season, as far as all the tangibles and everything, remember his name?
I do not.
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Football?
Johnny Foosball.
What happened to him, man?
You know what?
Cocaine and strippers happened to him.
Too much eggnog. Way too much eggnog.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days? Too much eggnog?
Too much eggnog.
Where is Manziel these days? Like, I haven't heard a thing about him. Did the Browns take him?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they had him for a little while.
Quickly released him?
Quickly released. And, you know, I mean, he was like a fucking parachute that wouldn't open, man. Quick release. They let go of him rather. And,
yeah. Yeah, last thing I heard about him, he was like partying on yachts and snorting cocaine off people's butts.
Oh yeah. He turned into strippers and cocaine and is going to make a big nobody of himself. But his parents are rich, so who cares?
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, his parents.
Yeah, I knew at one time his dad was like sending out distress signals for him, and everybody was like, "Who cares?"
He was an entitled little fuck. You know, you look at Kyler Murray, who grew up with nothing and is arguably one of the best athletes to play college football.
Well, see, I'm at a handicap here because I'm not an OU fan, and Murray came up. I don't know anything about the kid. I mean, I know absolutely nothing where he comes from, what he's about. I just know he's humble as all get out when he's in press conferences, and he keeps shattering numbers when he plays.
Yeah, you know, granted, he doesn't have Barry Sanders' rushing record, but Barry Sanders doesn't have his throwing record either. So,
well, yeah, there you go. So there's that. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy how good this kid is. And even if he does go to baseball, I mean, he might pull a Bo Jackson thing. You know, get done with the first couple of years of his contract, and when it's time for him to renegotiate, you know, he's
got the talent to do it.
I mean, he may be able to negotiate and come on as or you know what, he could still play professional baseball, drop out of professional baseball, and still go in the draft for NFL.
That's true.
So,
yeah, that's very possible.
But what most likely would happen if he is going to be a dual sport guy is he'll basically do the same thing Bo Jackson did, play baseball for a little while, and then just have a no draft contract.
He's way more talented than Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson got all of his notoriety. Dual sport athlete. He was nothing that was.
For me, Bo Jackson was probably the best athlete I've ever
all
seen.
around athlete.
But I grew up in that era, and if you're not my age, if you're not 40, if you're not 45 to 55, somewhere around there, 40 to 55, you have no idea who Bo Jackson is or what he accomplished in the short amount of time.
It was amazing. It was amazing to watch.
It was insane to watch. And you want to talk about a bow hunter?
Bo Jackson?
Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
That's all he did.
Well, is he originally from Georgia?
No, he's from Bessemer, Alabama.
Alabama, okay.
Bessemer, Alabama. That's how deep the rabbit hole I went, as I know where he's from.
Well, if you from Alabama or Georgia and you don't bow hunt, then something's wrong with you because everybody down there bow hunt.
You know, if you guys want to learn about Bo Jackson on Netflix, ESPN put out their 30 for 30s, and there's a 30 for 30 on Bo Jackson. That is fucking fantastic. And it takes you all the way down the rabbit hole with him from grade school on up and exactly what he accomplished, you know, from the time he was throwing rocks at other kids with a rock fight to throwing crab apples. You know, there was one thing on there where he said, you know, these kids would throw crab apples at me and I'd throw crab apples at them. And about the time that they were all wearing out and getting tired, I was just getting warmed up. He would throw crab apples through screens and windows and all sorts. He was kind of an ornery little shit. And he had a real bad stutter problem, which kids made fun of him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, kids made fun of him until he found out his strength and athletic ability, and then they quickly shut up after that.
Well, you mentioned bow hunting, and that brought to mind one of our buddies.
Oh, Simo.
Simo, congratulations to Simo. Simo put another deer in the dirt this past week, so that's 3 for him this year. He's having a much better year than I am. But Simo went on doe patrol this past week, and he went
looking for the ladies.
I'm telling you right now, he put a Marco up to me and Big Tiddy here when he was in his truck getting ready to put his hunting clothes on, and as God is my witness, he put another one up 20 minutes later and had a deer down on the ground. It was like, that's the way I like to hunt.
Yeah, now, God dang it, now I got to drag this bitch up to my truck.
Which he promptly did.
Yeah.
And then what did he do?
They drove around town with it in the back of his truck like he does every other deer to piss off every snowflake and millennial out there.
God bless Simo, man. So congrats, Simo. That's a good year, buddy. That's 3 deer in the freezer. That's meat for your family, man. Can't ever deny somebody that's had a good season like that. So, man, yeah, congrats, Simo.
We're going to take a quick break. When we get back on the other side, we are going to talk about the 41st President of the United States, George Herbert Walker Bush. You're listening to the Tiddy and Shiner Show. Well, welcome back. And, man, it's kind of a sobering thing a little bit about George Bush passing away because, he was not a horrible president. His choice of vice president was Quayle.
When you said that, I had to run through my head and be like, who was the vice president?
No, everybody, he's the man you want to forget, Dan Quayle. But boy, he had a hell of a Secretary of Defense with Dick Cheney.
Oh, Cheney.
Yeah,
Cheney.
Look, he's a very polarizing guy. You either love him or you fucking hate him, one or the other.
Oh, well, shit. You talking about Bush or Cheney?
Cheney.
Yeah.
He's very polarized. But he was a great choice by Bush because Cheney took what Reagan had done with the military and made it even better. And that looked really good for George. And it also made it a lot easier to be able to swallow the Dan Quayle debacle for the second run. So, sometimes we make bad choices. I've made bad choices. Made a couple of them fairly recently. Regret it, but it is what it is. But the guy was a great guy, and he always, there was something about him that made things kind of normal. He was kind of like a grandpa, kind of like everybody's grandpa. The guy you could trust.
We're talking about Bush now?
Yeah, we're back to Bush.
Okay.
But I kind of looked at him like a grandpa.
You hear people speak about George H.W. and everybody says that he was an immaculate person. I mean, he stood for what was right, and he believed in that. And I know recently, since he's passed, there's been people in Tulsa that were personally affected by him. And, there was a family that I think somebody had some kind of terminal illness that he, on one of his stops here, went and met for some reason. And he kept up with that family for a number of years. And, the guy just seemed like he was as good as gold. I mean, nobody says a bad word about him on either side of the political fence.
Sure. Looking back on it, it was, there were things that he probably could have done better. I mean, there were things that we all could have done. I mean, for crying out loud.
There's not a president we can't say that about.
No, not at all. But, there was a lot of respect given toward him. And, I even shed a few tears watching TV. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. And 95-year-old Bob Dole being wheeled up in a wheelchair, and he gets out of his wheelchair to pay respects. And then the eulogy that 43 gave. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was a tearjerker.
Yeah, it was. And you could tell that he absolutely adored his.
Well, I think anybody that ever had the privilege of meeting that man adored him. I think that he just had one of those. He had that trait about him that people just were drawn to.
Yeah. See, I hate my father. Now, my stepdad I love to death, but my father, if he disappeared off the planet, it wouldn't bother me a bit.
Well, I mean, I've been sideways with my dad plenty of times, but that's the one thing I thought about when I watched his son speak about him and the eulogy he gave is, man, like that's got to be a loss in your life that's hard to recover from. And my dad's that person to me. Like when my dad goes, that's how I feel about it. Because my dad will leave one of the most badass legacies of anybody that I've ever been privileged.
Yeah, that's pretty damn true.
My dad will leave a badass legacy, and I think George H.W. I mean, the legacy he left was nothing but golden. I mean, everybody that speaks about that guy, God, man, what an incredible individual.
Oh, absolutely. When Bill Clinton took office,
you gotta go there.
Well, no, this is just how classy of a guy George is. Bill Clinton goes to the to the desk in the Oval Office and opens the drawer, and there's a hand